Hello and welcome back. My name is Shimona, and today I'm bringing you another video, Brighter Shores. Quite a few things I'd like to discuss today, revolving mostly around knowledge points, um, AFK skills, XP per hour, some efficiency related things, as well as XP potions. So let's just hop straight into it. So if you're not familiar or maybe you're new to the game, knowledge points is the system that is at the bottom of your professions tab. Um, you unlock this when you get your first skill to level 20, and it's sort of like it's almost like an experience bar. It's got this little experience bar here that fills not based off of how much XP you gain or how much you logged in, but it's actually like almost a task based leveling system. So every time you do some kind of action, usually that grants XP, it'll fill up a certain percentage. So something like this, processing resources, it's going to fill it up a little bit, um, probably a little bit under 1%. So yeah, that one was a little under 1%. And then doing bigger XP tasks such as crafting these stones or bars into a resource would give like 3%. And I haven't really seen it scale with experience. It just seems to be like a set percentage amount you get every time you do a task. So again, this is unlocked when you get your first level 20. Every time you fill this bar up, you're going to get one knowledge point, and you're going to have a couple of options with that knowledge point. You can put it into unlocking an skill, which we'll go into in a minute. You can trade that knowledge point for experience in any of your skills that are above level 20, and it actually gives you exactly 25% of that skill, and that experience can be boosted with an XP potion. And the third option is you can convert that knowledge point into silver. I think at the moment for me, it's one knowledge point is like 25 silver, somewhere around there. I'm not exactly sure, but um, I did that like once or twice at the beginning when I was trying to buy tools, but I don't recommend that. You should probably always use it in XP, and we'll kind of go more into how you should use your knowledge points because it kind of depends on how you play and what your goals are. There are a lot of factors, but we'll go into that. One thing I did want to give a note on knowledge points is if you do decide to trade knowledge points for experience, that experience can be boosted by an XP potion. And the way that works is whatever skill you are wanting to boost. So, for example, I'm here in chapter 3, the mines, and let's say I wanted to boost alchemy, which is in chapter 1. So there are different types of XP potions. You have XP Hope Port, XP Hope Forest, XP Mine, and XP Chronopolis. Even though I'm here in the mines, chapter 3, I would actually need to use a Hope Port XP potion if I was going to dump my knowledge point in alchemy. So that's the way that works. You don't use the XP potion for the zone you're in. Rather, the XP potion needs to be for the skill you the zone the skill is originating from. We'll talk more about XP potions towards the end of this. There are, yeah, we'll go more, dive more into that, but just quick little note about that. Another thing, the XP from the knowledge points does have a cap. So you will get 25% of the level of whatever skill you put it in up to level 200. After level 200 or at level 200, knowledge points will only give 6.25% experience of that skill, um, which is on the wiki. I don't know exactly how accurate that is, but it's on the wiki, so I would assume it's correct. Um, so there is a big incentive to. Uh, there is like a little bit of an incentive, a little bit of like a plan where you just rush a skill to level 200 and you just level that skill past 200 and you level the rest of your skills purely through knowledge points. I don't know how realistic that is, but that is probably a strategy you can do. But we'll talk more about strategy in a minute. Um, but yeah, that's basically it. As for the AFK skills, every skill has AFK skills, kind of skills that when you log out, you can go and train that skill, and when you log out, your character will continue doing that skill while you're asleep. Um, Most of these skills are very slow. Like you'll probably get like about 30 minutes if you were training the skill actively worth of XP. Honestly, probably less, probably like 15 or 20 minutes. If it For a 24-hour session, you probably get about 30 to 45 minutes worth of active skill XP, which isn't, I mean, it's better than nothing, and I'm sure it's going to scale as we level. But if we take a look here at our mining, you can see you get your first one at level 20, and each one of these blue dots indicates it's an AFK skill, and you need to put a knowledge point into it. You can see right here my next one's at level 42, and it says 5 knowledge point symbol and then 5. What that means is when you put a knowledge point into your skill, if I head back here, it stacks up. So you can't go into your knowledge points and choose to put one into like a lower level skill. It's a progressive thing. You can't refund it. You have to put them in one at a time. So, for example, I'm like, what's my highest skill? I guess alchemy. If I go into alchemy and I scroll all the way down, um, the next one I'm about to unlock is 9 skill points. Let's say I was like level 200. The level 200 AFK skill would require 37 knowledge points. Now, if you break that down, 37 knowledge points, if you put it into XP in any skills that are under 200, that's basically 9 levels of any skill you could have had. So there is this kind of option you have with knowledge points where you can forego leveling up your AFK skills and whatever skills you're doing for just that raw experience. However, there's a caveat. It may not seem like AFK skills are important now, and that's simply because we have yet to have anything that interacts directly with AFK skills. But in the future, I think it's safe to assume that these will have some form of use, potentially uh, quest requirements. Again, if you're really focused on one skill, you probably want to have the highest level AFK portion of that unlocked. There's a lot of factors that go into it, so I'm not really gonna recommend one way or the either. I would say if you're currently focused on a goal and you really want to get to that goal, usually it tends you're leveling one skill. Um, I'm not sure personally. I'm just putting all my AFK points into skills as I go. I'm not too worried about rushing a certain skill. And I am a completionist, so I would want to eventually do it. If something came out and you needed it done, like imagine having to grind out, 35, 37 knowledge points before you could do whatever quest or task or whatever that required this AFK skill. So again, it's an option you can do. It's something to keep in mind. It is a lot of experience that you're sacrificing for something currently doesn't seem to offer a lot. Um, but yeah, now going into how should you spend your knowledge points. So there's a lot of factors. If you've played RuneScape, you can kind of associate knowledge skills with basically an experience lamp. And there are 3 factors in RuneScape on how you determine where you should lamp your skills. Um, and in in Brighter Shores, there's actually 4, so we'll go on that. But for RuneScape, there's 3 factors: XP per hour, GP per hour, whether it's a net loss or net profit, and intensity. So a lot of people in old school RuneScape like the lamp RuneCraft, or before game Guardians of the Rift, they like the lamp runecrafting because it was a very tedious skill. It was very slow XP. You would, unless you're doing lava runecraftings, you would tend to make some kind of money from it usually. Some people would lamp Slayer just because Slayer was such an intense skill to train and it was very slow. Uh, and you would tend to make money unless you're like cannoning. Other skills people would lamp herb lore, just because it's expensive, and some people would lamp agility just because it's a little bit intense and a little bit slow XP per hour, even though you do make a profit. So those are kind of the three factors. You know, if you hate training a skill, you can lamp it. You don't have to do it. You just lamp it, and it gets done. If a skill is too slow to train normally, maybe you just lamp it so you can skip the slow training part, and you can go. Once you unlock a higher XP per hour method, you can stop lamping it and do that. And the GP per hour, if something's too expensive to train, then you can just lamp it. So those are the three factors. There is a fourth factor in uh, Brighter Shores, which I haven't really seen many people talking about, but there's also knowledge points per hour. So, as I said before, every time you do a certain action or a certain task, you get an XP drop, you get a certain amount of knowledge points experience. So, a good example is merchanting gives extremely fast knowledge points. You could probably farm about 4 knowledge points an hour, maybe potentially more as you get a higher level and you unlock routes and kind of become very efficient at it. Whereas doing like a gathering skill, you may only get 2 knowledge points an hour, if even, or three. And the knowledge points, if you're converting it into XP, you do have to add that XP per hour from knowledge points on top of the actual XP per hour you just get basically training the skill. So that's something to keep in mind. Um, it's something that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but it is kind of important if you're going about trying to determine the true XP rates of skills. You do have to add in knowledge points per hour in all those calculations. So keep that in mind um, when you're looking in the future trying to decide something. So for now, I would just say whatever skill you're currently working on, probably just dump your knowledge points into that. I haven't run into any skills so far that seem too insanely expensive to train. Stonemason does have a little bit of a part where you're using the what is it called? This death stone here. If you don't go mine it yourself, it's something like 2.5 silver an ore, which going from if you want to train with the death stone as soon as you can use it up until you get to the next tier, it's going to cost you like 2.5 gold before you sell your gear back. It'll probably end up being like 1.5 gold you're going to have to use, which is kind of expensive for what a low level skill it is. There are like little niche things like that, and you'll kind of just have to figure it out. Like as you train skills and you kind of learn the XP per hours or like the costs, you'll be like, this is too expensive, this is too slow compared to the other things, and just go off, work on something else, and just dump your knowledge points to level it up and get it to where you want. Knowledge points are insanely OP. To give you an idea, I have not trained any alchemy. I have I I I have trained a little bit just to kind of learn it recently, but I got all the way to 61 alchemy without ever training it. I just put all my knowledge points into it, and I'll do a video on alchemy later, but it wasn't a bad idea. I didn't want to spend time on it. I didn't want to pay for it. I wanted to have the unlocks of the different like healing potions and damage potions, but I didn't really want to spend time doing it. I wanted to do other stuff that I kind of was enjoying because that when I was knowledge pointing alchemy, I was actually doing a lot of my merchanting. So my merchanting was kind of fueling my alchemy along with detective and all that, and I enjoyed these skills, so I had no problem dumping my knowledge points into something I didn't really want to do. But yeah, just kind of choose something. Just dump it into whatever you're training. If and that's my recommendation for now. People who are a lot smarter than me and are going to graph and plan everything out, they will tell you where it's best to use it in the future. um, but I'm not going to recommend on that. So the last thing I wanted to talk about is XP potions. So, XP potions are what a lot of people will call bait, and I have to kind of agree with them. There aren't many situations I would recommend using XP potions. And the reason for that is simply just kind of efficiency. XP potions only last for 3 minutes, and they take up an inventory slot. If they had like a special slot, you could hold XP potions that wouldn't take up one of your 24 slots. They would be, uh, I mean, they would get infinitely better for most skills, but there would still be the debate: is it too tedious? At the moment, while they take an inventory slot, there's only a few skills that I could recommend even worth using them on. Any of the combat skills, you can use it. Um, I wouldn't recommend merchanting. You could probably use it. Leatherworking is fine. Um, Detective, you could use it. Any of the skills that doesn't require you filling up your inventory with like an even amount of things. If you're mining, foraging, any of those, you could probably use it. But if you're crafting, it's kind of tedious to use. However, on the flip side, there is a caveat exception to that, which is you can juggle your XP potions. So, if you really wanted to sweat, you wanted the best XP per hour, um, you could juggle it. For example, you could just let it sit here on the ground, and every time you get here, you pick it up, you drink it, you drop it, and you have your full inventory. Um, I don't. It's again, it's just kind of too tedious to deal with. It is probably going to overall result you in like a few percentage XP points per level. Like I was mentioning before, knowledge points are affected by XP potions. But then you come to the issue: if I'm here training stonemason in chapter 3 and I'm using knowledge points from chapter 1, that means I would have to, if I wanted to use XP potions for everything I was doing, training actively plus my knowledge points, I would have to carry two different XP potions on me, and I would have to juggle two different XP potions, and it. I don't know. For me, I don't care that much about it. Again, I do use it when I'm doing combat. I do bring it with me whenever I don't feel like I need to be juggling it. When I was mining, um, I didn't bring it with me when I was mining because I was banking everything I was mining. I didn't really feel the need to bring it. The only place I ever brought it with me is when I was doing leatherworking because leatherworking is so slow. And anytime I'm doing combat, I bring it with me. Uh, Everywhere else, I don't know, it's just too tedious. It kind of fucks up a lot of the proportions because a lot of the skills in this game are like do 12, do 6. It's all about even amounts, splitting your inventory in half, and just having that one slot taken or two slots taken. It not two slots, but the one slot taken. It just feels weird, and the 5% just doesn't feel worth it. So, um, if you're a min maxer, do the juggling. If you're not min maxing, don't bother. It's just not worth the headache. Um, yeah, I think that's about it. I just wanted to thank everybody again. You've all been so kind, and it's been awesome seeing you guys throughout the game. Um, I really it makes me very happy. So I hope this helps some people. I'm gonna try and work on some more skills. I'd like to do the skills first before I talk about them. So I did do a little bit of alchemy training. I trained about 10 levels myself. So I'm going to make a video on that tomorrow. But I'm out here grinding. I don't know how long I'm gonna keep up this level of grinding, but at least for now, while I've got a little bit of relaxing time, I'm going to not relax and grind. So yeah, enjoy.